Steve Lampin with SMPL Systems in Orlando, Florida. Here with the 3 Bogen Gold Series amplifiers that were reported by a customer that weren't functioning at all. So I just want to show you the front. These are the 3 amplifiers in question. You can see the power lights lit on all of them. Now it's important, anybody that would get an amplifier like this, when you're trying to see if it works, make sure it's plugged into a wall outlet that's actually turned on. You need 120 volts for these particular ones. So if you plug it into a regular wall outlet and you'll turn the switch on, you see how the light goes off, light goes on. The light goes on, you know you have power.
Where it says power.
Exactly. Now I'm not going to get into any of the other features here because these for probably the gentleman that bought these, he probably doesn't understand most of the stuff, what a graphic EQ is and all that. So I'm not going to cover that, but I'll try to keep this simple. So I'm going to turn it around to the back, and this is a multi-function amplifier. You can do all kinds of things with it, but it was reported that he put a signal into it and got no sound out, was the report. So I want to show you what I've done here. I've just taken an iPhone here, not an iPhone, it's actually a Galaxy. And I plugged into the speaker out where you plug in a headphone set. Like if you want to use headphones and you didn't want everybody else to hear, you would plug in here. Well, I'm doing the same with that. I'm bringing the cord down. We're going to look at this bottom one first. So I'm going into these inputs to say auxiliary inputs. Now there's a volume control on the front for each of these inputs, auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2. We're using both of them to make sure they work. And
freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial.
That's the station I'm having to be listening to. Unfortunately, it's not on music right now, but it should be on music in a second here. There's the music now. That's very low. What I also did was I hooked up with these 2 wires here. This is where all this you'd hook your speakers up. We're on here what's called a 70 volt output. Now that doesn't mean it's necessarily 70 volt, it just means it has the capability of putting out that much voltage depending on the amplitude of the setting in the front of the amplifier. So you could get anywhere from 0 to 70 volts. 70 volts is pretty unlikely. But it's capable of doing that. So I'm tied onto that, and as you see, if you follow the wire over like this, comes over, and these are, call these banana plugs. We're tied into here. Now the 70 volts comes into a transformer, and the transformer then knocks it down to what we call a normal speaker impedance, like 8 ohms or 4 ohms. This is a high quality JBL speaker, similar to what we use on most of our projects. Now even though these amplifiers are only 35 watt output, this particular speaker here is designed to handle 200 watts, so it's pretty much of an effort for this to drive that speaker at full volume. It really puts a load on us, and if there's going to be any failures, this setup would show where the failure would be the easiest. But you can see I'm sorry, she just told me she couldn't hear me while I was talking because I had the amplifier. That was about a third of the way up. Now I'll give you a little more burst of energy here. You normally don't want to do it that high because I'm sure on that little microphone it sounds horrible. So we verified that this amplifier works. Down, down, down. Okay, so we're good there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the next amplifier. It was also reported that I put a signal in and got no sound out. So we're going to see what happens here. Unscrew this. And like I said, it's a 70 volt system, but you only get 70 volts if you're at full amplitude. So there's no risk of me really getting shocked. There's a little voltage there, it's no big deal. So if you're inexperienced with audio amplifiers, I didn't want to scare you about talking about the 70 volt thing, but it's, just to be responsible for inexperienced people, it's always good to say that. Now we're on the second amp. We're on this amp. You can see I've moved the speakers here, same place they were here. And once again, I'm not sure.
Leave the volume on.
I'm not sure what no sound. That's enough. So now I'm going to quickly move on to the top amplifier. Same report. The customer put a signal in and got no sound out. Okay, and I assume that's what he means by sound. I should have clarified that, but as far as the amplifier work, it definitely works, and works well. That's quite hefty. And Bogen's pretty low end as far as if you're if you're used to installing Bogen products, you're probably kind of on the low end anyway. It's like bottom of the barrel. But these Gold series seem to be pretty good. Like I say, the property these were taken out of, these were used as backup. They actually weren't even turned on. So they've got very little use on them. Turn the volumes up. Now we're on the top amp. Same hookup. See, I took the signal out, putting the signal in. Now, just to keep this short, I've already done this test. I ran each one for 10 to 15 minutes each at full hard volume, and they performed flawlessly. So, oh, there's the other complaint about the screws. It's not actually the screws that makes the amplifier work. The screws are only used to like connect wires and things. So if you look, there's a bazillion screws on here. So let's say it's a used amplifier. Hopefully you're not trying to pass this off as a brand new amplifier to somebody, because that would be unethical. Okay, they were sold as used amplifiers. Guys, take them out, drop the screws. But you know, any one of these screws works in any one of the holes. So if you need a screw, you just grab one from it, because there's no way, it's virtually impossible to use all these screws, because it's a one or the other scenario anyway. So you're going to put one kind of signal in or the other. You can't do both at the same time, because it'll confuse the amplifier. So if you need a screw, you just pull one of these screws out and put it in. That's what I did. And as a matter of fact, where the speaker connections were, it's funny, there was no screws there, so I'm not sure how the customer hooked the speaker up to it to begin with. This whole thing's really strange. But anyway, that's the end of my demonstration, and I hope I've taught you a little bit about how to put a signal into an amplifier, get a signal out, and then have sound. It's really, really cool stuff. Thank you.